Apocalypse+Storage Space+hoarding of explosive materials plus blackening of the Virgin Mary, global ice cover, over 90% of species are extinct. In his previous life, Lin Mo was betrayed by his beloved woman and died unjustly. Unexpectedly reborn and returning, Lin Mo decided not to be the Virgin Mary anymore and swore revenge against his unscrupulous neighbor. Utilize the advantage of prior knowledge and awareness to stockpile materials. It is even more about incorporating logistics parks worth billions into storage space. The end of the world arrived as scheduled, and Lin Mo lived comfortably in a safe house. The enemies of the past life shall be settled one by one. Afterwards, we will expand our territory and establish an invincible fortress in the apocalypse, taking over both power and color. Chapter 1. 1 month before the end of the world. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Clack. The door is open. A group of demons rushed in. I really don't know the shard of God, I've said it 100 times. Lin Mo was beaten all over his body by his neighbors and finally fixed on the table. In the inhuman pain, he vaguely saw his stomach pouch and the intestines hanging on the ground. Blood flowed all over the ground and quickly froze in extreme cold. Dr. Zhang, we haven't found the fluorescent stone. How about we have dinner? Outside the crowd, the woman wearing a pure white down jacket looked anxious. I opened the door, you need to give me more meat. Xia Ling, you despicable person, I wasted all my sincerity by feeding the dog everything. If given another chance, I will make all of you pay a painful price. Lin Mo weakly closed his eyes and ended his painful life. The world fell into darkness until a dazzling white light penetrated. It hurt so much. Lin Mo let out a scream, rolled off the bed, and groaned in pain on the ground. However, he quickly realized something was wrong. I have been reborn. Lin Mo looked at his stomach in disbelief, intact. Ha ha ha. The rental room echoed with ecstatic laughter. In the previous life, on October 10, 2023 in the Blue Star calendar, a comet codenamed Extreme Ice passed over the Blue Star, containing a large amount of special ice and minerals, with temperatures as low as -260 degrees Celsius. Successfully captured polar ice comets under the influence of gravity. A catastrophic disaster occurred as a result. The temperature of the Blue Star rapidly decreased and eventually stabilized at -90 degrees Celsius. The ice age has arrived, and most species have become extinct at extremely low temperatures. I never imagined that rebirth would happen to me one day. Lin Mo quickly adapted and waved his hand with an excited expression, saying, take out your phone and see that the date on it shows September 7, 2023 in the Blue Star calendar. There are still 32 days left until the end of the world. Xia Ling, and my good neighbors, please wait for me. In my previous life, I was kind and even distributed food to you in the early stages of the apocalypse. Unexpectedly, you didn't want to repay me and instead colluded with outsiders to plot against me. I, Lin Mo, swear not to be a person if I do not seek revenge for killing myself. Lin Mo's eyes turned red and he punched the table. I saw a flash of white light, and the table suddenly disappeared out of nowhere. Oh, where's my desk? Lin Mo was dumbfounded and looked around, unable to find the disappearing table. Before Lin Mo could finish speaking, he widened his eyes and showed an incredulous expression. Because the bed in the room also disappeared. This time, he saw it clearly. Lin Mo looked at his right hand in disbelief, and with another wave, white light appeared in mid-air. Dimensional space. I have awakened spatial abilities. Lin Mo felt that the white light blended with his own water and milk, as if they were one. By immersing his consciousness, Lin Mo saw the internal space. It's really too big. A vast expanse of white, as if boundless. The table and bed that were taken in were as small as sand. Is it difficult to say that this is the fragment of the gods in the neighbor's mouth? Lin Mo remembers that day. His hands and feet were severely frostbitten, but he still had to go out to search for food. Without food, one must wait to die. Just as Lin Mo collapsed on the roadside, a glowing stone fell from the sky and miraculously healed his frostbite. Lin Mo was overjoyed and excitedly brought the stone home. But when I woke up the next day, the stone disappeared and disappeared. Originally, the shards of the gods are really inside me, and they have awakened my spatial powers. Lin Mo laughed happily, revealing his big white teeth. We need to quickly familiarize ourselves with the ability to awaken. This is the capital for our future survival. Next, Lin Mo kept collecting items and then taking them out and placing them in place. He found that the volume of dimensional space was truly outrageous, and no matter how many things were put in, the internal space was still boundless. Secondly, living organisms cannot be stored in the space. Once a living organism is put in and taken out, it loses its breath. Lin Mo initially thought there was no air in the dimensional space, so he brought a hamster and placed it in a sealed plastic bag. The oxygen inside is sufficient for hamsters to use for several hours. Put the hamster in the space and take it out after 5 seconds, but the hamster still lost all vital signs. Lin Mo touched his chin and pondered, this has nothing to do with the air, it should be a more profound rule. Lin Mo, who has been immortal for 20 years, doesn't understand the specific rules. But it does not hinder the use of this rule. Perhaps I can take the enemy into dimensional space. Imagine that scene, where Lin Mo went, he raised his hand and emitted a magical white light. The enemy in front of him disappeared in an instant, and when he reappeared, the person had already fallen. Furthermore, raise your hand and eliminate 100,000 enemy troops. Lin Mo trembled with excitement and said, this is not a storage space, it's an invincible skill. Lin Mo immediately decided to develop more abilities in the future and must achieve the imagined appearance of spatial abilities. Pack up your excited mood and continue experimenting with abilities. Half an hour later, Lin Mo discovered another function of the dimensional space, which is preservation. The dimensional space seems to be out of the same dimension as the blue star. The items placed inside remain unchanged when taken out. Lin Mo put the clock and ice into the storage space at the same time, and then took it out half an hour later. There is no sign of the ice melting, and the hands on the clock are the same as before they were put in. Two spaces are relatively stationary in time, and by utilizing this phenomenon, food can be perfectly preserved. Lin Mo brought a pen and paper to write down each characteristic of the spatial ability, as well as the extended usage and speculation about the ability. Soon, the paper was filled with densely packed words. Lin Mo carefully smoothed out the paper and then collected it into the dimensional space. The awakening ability lacks the experience and learning of predecessors, and in the future, we can only rely on our own research. Well, in the future, I can write a book called Space Canon, which specifically talks about how to develop spatial abilities. Lin Mo took a deep breath, his eyes shining brightly, and his spirit reached its peak. Confidence greatly increases in being able to survive smoothly in the apocalypse. I can use dimensional space to store supplies, so I don't have to worry about food issues after the apocalypse. Lin Mo thought of the great significance of spatial abilities to himself and showed a look of ecstasy. No one knows how long the extremely cold weather will last. In the previous life, most people were frozen to death, and the rest were on the brink of starvation. For the sake of stuttering, we are willing to abandon the ethical and moral principles that have been upheld for decades. In the early stages, some women exchanged their bodies for food. But soon I couldn't get any food to exchange for, so I had to exchange for a corpse to eat. Firstly, I need to reserve a large amount of food, the more the better, there is no limit. Then, we also need cold-resistant materials such as cotton quilts, down jackets, fuel, and so on. Finally, weapons are also very important. In the apocalypse, not only do we have to fight against bad elements, but also those who fall into despair. To live is original sin. If you're still alive and I'm about to starve to death, then you deserve to die. At this moment, Lin Mo recalled his observations in the apocalypse with a chilling feeling. Absolutely, 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 we cannot repeat the same mistakes, we must survive in the end world. Lin Mo's gaze was firm and he burst out with an incredibly strong will. But I don't have money, what should I do? Seeing the balance on his phone, Lin Mo's face immediately collapsed. Balance. 2680.88. Chapter 2. Purchasing materials. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Not long ago, after paying off the student loan, there was still 190,000 left. Lin Mo came out of the orphanage. I have been working part-time since high school, earning my own tuition and living expenses. After that, with extremely high intelligence, I was admitted to a national key Jinhai University. During school, working part-time at all costs was simply making money. Do whatever you want to make money for, open a school snack shop, deliver packages, and tutor high school students with their homework. When he graduated, Lin Mo not only paid off his student loan, but also saved 190,000 yuan in savings. Until I met a little slut named Xia Ling during my internship at the company. This woman is a white lotus flower, full of gold worshippers, and quickly drained Lin Mo's wealth. The reason why Lin Mo is willing to spend money on her is because Xia Ling is a high school classmate. He is eager to prove that he is no longer the poor orphan he used to be. The result is under the guidance of Xia Ling, a little slut. Gone, I'm just a big shot. Lin Mo wished he could slap himself. If that 190,000 yuan is still there, you can purchase a large amount of daily necessities and survive better in the apocalypse. 2,680 yuan, there are too few things to buy. Lin Mo furrowed his brows and felt worried in his heart. I planned for so long before, and everything required a lot of money. These 2,000 yuan are not enough to fill the gaps between your teeth. Go buy the most important food first, and then find a way to make money. Lin Mo is feeling anxious because he doesn't have any food reserves around him now. So I prepared for the worst, at the very least there must be enough food to live for a long time. Otherwise, the advantages brought by rebirth will be completely lost, won't they? If there is really no other way in the end, Lin Mo will go and take out the online loan, anyway. There is no need to repay it after the end of the world. Once you have made a decision in your heart, immediately set off to do it. Originally planning to go to the supermarket downstairs in the community, Lin Mo's mind flashed and he immediately stepped back. Isn't it cheaper to go to the food wholesale market? Lin Mo is now seeking the quantity of food, not the quality. Soon, Lin Mo arrived at the largest food wholesale market nearby. Boss, 20 boxes of instant noodles, 5 boxes of bread. The wholesaler's eyes lit up, and it seemed like a big customer had arrived, not an individual who opened a small convenience store nearby. What is the name of the store? I will issue an invoice for you. Lin Mo paused for a moment before slowly saying. A post-apocalyptic snack shop. The wholesaler owner repeatedly confirmed before entering the store name on the computer. Xin said that the business of this snack shop may not be very good, and the name is too disappointing. Boss, do you have any expired food here? The wholesale boss suddenly showed a wary expression, suspecting that Lin Mo was the investigator from above. No, we are serious business people and do not engage in speculative activities. Lin Mo saw the other person's reaction and knew there was a scene, so he took out a cigarette and started talking. The boss is not aware that I don't sell goods that are on time, but I have other uses. Lin Mo casually made up a reason, stating that he would not do anything that would disrupt the market. The wholesaler boss looked at the other party suspiciously and hesitated to believe it. Lin Mo suppressed his eagerness in his heart and finally made the boss speak freely. Finally, Lin Mo successfully purchased a large amount of expired food from the wholesaler owner. Only a small amount of money was spent. The remaining savings were quickly depleted. Lin Mo started using credit cards and then went on to pay for the Huawei credit limit in the software. Lin Mo breathed a sigh of relief as he walked out of the wholesale market burdened with debt. Mainly during the apocalypse, I was scared of hunger. A few hours later, the purchased goods were delivered to the rental house. Quickly, the rental housing was piled up and there was no space left to move on. With so many instant noodles, if you save some, it will be enough to eat for many years. Lin Mo raised his right hand and began to unleash spatial abilities. Collect. With a flash of white light, there was an empty space in front of me, and the food that had originally been piled up was sent into the dimensional space. I'll take it again. Several times, all the food in the room was stored in the storage space. The spatial ability is really useful. No matter how many things you have, they can be incorporated into the dimensional space. Lin Mo did not feel mentally tired after using the ability several times in a row. So he took out his notebook and summarized, using abilities to collect materials will not cause excessive consumption and can be used multiple times. White light flashed by, and the notebook disappeared into my hand. Looking at the accumulation of materials in the dimensional space, Lin Mo felt incredibly secure. With food in hand, don't panic in your heart. There are still 32 days until the end of the world. We need to find a way to get more money. Lin Mo's brain started running rapidly. Working to earn money. That's too little. Bank robbery. You will be taken away and have a good meal. Using abilities to make money. They will be taken and sliced for research. The conventional method of making money is definitely useless, only by taking advantage of the information gap. What do I know while others don't? Scenes flashed before Lin Mo's eyes, quickly eliminating useless information. A few minutes later, the brain began to feel dizzy due to overuse. Lin Mo suddenly became excited and spun around, clapping his hands together. I thought of it, lottery. Lin Mo had a habit of buying lottery tickets before, and he happened to remember the lottery number for the recent issue. Quickly find a pen and paper and write a string of numbers on it. That's right, I remember very clearly that's the number for today's lottery jackpot. Lin Mo no longer hesitated and headed straight to the lottery store in the community. Boss, buy according to the numbers above and multiply it 5-fold. The lottery shop owner casually inputted the numbers into the computer and then agreed to the lottery. Young people nowadays. A piercing woman's voice suddenly rang in her ear. Lin Mo turned around and saw the old woman wearing armbands, looking contemptuously at this side. Community property manager Zhang Cuifang, one of the culprits who stormed into the room. Lin Mo's eyes were red, piercing towards Zhang Cuifang as if they had turned into substance. Oh my, what kind of gaze are you giving? Zhang Cuifang was startled and couldn't help but take a half step back. Lin Mo forcefully suppressed the surging hatred in his heart, otherwise he would be afraid of committing the crime on the spot. Lin Mo, I see you have some psychological issues. Don't think about retaliating against society. Zhang Cuifang has some understanding of Lin Mo and knows that he comes from an orphan background. This type of person lacks love from a young age, is most prone to psychological abnormalities, and eventually goes to extremes. Aunt Zhang, where did you see that I had a psychological problem? Zhang Cuifang naturally said. Because you are an orphan. She doesn't care at all whether her words cause harm to others. Lin Mo, Auntie must advise you not to be obsessed with gambling at a young age, as it will harm you. Lin Mo frowned and said, when did I gamble? Are you still gambling when you buy lottery tickets? Young people should be down to earth and not dream of overnight wealth. Zhang Cuifang began preaching from a high position. As an older generation, she looked down upon opportunists from the bottom of her heart, and even less believed that anyone could become rich by buying lottery tickets. It's just giving money to lottery agencies. Lin Mo smiled mysteriously and said leisurely. For me, getting rich overnight is just a normal operation, not a dream. Zhang Cuifang shook her head repeatedly, feeling extremely disappointed with Lin Mo, a young man. If you don't listen to the old man, you'll suffer in front of you, and there will be times when you cry in the future. Also, I sincerely suggest that you go see a psychologist, after all. Hee. Everything is in silence. Zhang Cuifang lifted her chin and dragged her bulky and obese body as she left the lottery store. Lin Mo looked at her back with a deep gaze. I still have the face to look down on others, and I don't see what kind of person I am. Chapter 3. Becoming a Millionaire. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. At night, Lin Mo stared closely at the TV. Whether we can win the first prize in the lottery and obtain funds for purchasing goods depends on now. Although it is certain that the previous lottery jackpot was this number, no one is sure if the butterfly effect really exists. In this lifetime, Lin Mo's trajectory has changed, and the number of lottery first prize purchases has also increased. Today, the winning numbers for the first prize in the lottery are 10, 19, 23, 25, 30, 31, and 12, with a winning amount of 6 million. Finally, the dust settled and the winning number remained unchanged. Lin Mo jumped 3 feet high and danced excitedly. Rich, finally rich. In the future, there will be no need to chew on expired instant noodles in the apocalypse. Lin Mo calculated that he bought a total of 5 bets for the first prize number and won 30 million. After deducting accidental income tax, you can receive 24 million. I want to use these over 20 million yuan to leverage resources worth 200 million yuan. During the upcoming major procurement, Lin Mo is not prepared to pay the full amount. For each order, just pay a deposit. This is a common approach because not all businesses have such healthy cash flow. Lin Mo rubbed his hands and began planning. Buying a large amount of food, such as hotel meals, can make it difficult to eat in the future, as the storage space has an invincible preservation function. The place of residence needs to be renovated, not only to prevent cold and warmth, but also to be able to defend against enemy attacks. Lin Mo suddenly remembered that the place he lives in now is not his own house, but a rented one. It's okay, just buy it from the landlord after receiving the money. And weapons, the first 2 are easy to achieve, just have money. But powerful weapons of destruction are prohibited items that money cannot buy. Lin Mo quickly came up with a solution. If it's really not possible, go abroad for tourism and buy local weapons. Put the firearms and weapons into the storage space, and you can easily pass the security check. Now wait to get the prize money from the lottery first prize. The next day, Lin Mo jumped out of bed. Fortunately, it wasn't a dream, it really resurrected. Lin Mo went downstairs with great enthusiasm, preparing to go to the lottery center to redeem his prize. As long as there is money in hand, all plans can be realized. When passing by the lottery station in the community, Lin Mo saw that the shop was surrounded by people. This lottery station won 30 million yuan, congratulations. This banner is very eye-catching. Hey, don't squeeze, let me in. Lin Mo saw Zhang Cuifang, the property manager of the community, buying lottery tickets and was sweating profusely in anxiety. Ha! Aunt Zhang also has an unrealistic idea of becoming rich overnight. Zhang Cuifang heard the mocking voice behind her and couldn't help but look back. Lin Mo, mind your own business. I am making contributions to the welfare cause, and children in mountainous areas need my help. I buy lottery tickets for gambling, and you buy lottery tickets for charity. Lin Mo has never seen such a double-standard person before, it's shameless. Aunt Zhang, I have taken your advice not to buy lottery tickets anymore. Look, why are you still stuck in it? Lin Mo said in a strange tone. Zhang Cuifang's face showed an unnatural expression. The young man in front of her was so annoying. Lin Mo laughed heartily, laughing incredibly happily. I immediately left Tianhe community and took a taxi to the lottery center. Hello, the total fare is 120 yuan. Lin Mo rarely takes a taxi, but he was still surprised by the taxi fare. Ding, payment failed due to insufficient balance. Lin Mo's face stiffened, he changed the software and continued to pay. The other software still has some credit limit, which is why the payment was successful. Who would have thought that a millionaire couldn't even afford a taxi fare? Lin Mo smiled self-deprecatingly. If he doesn't get the lottery prize, he will really be at a loss. Pushing open the door of the lottery center, before entering, a group of salespeople in suits gathered around. Little brother looks very lucky. How many prizes did he win? I am a staff member of a charity organization, and this is my business card. Little brother, if you win, remember to give back to society. I am from the Ocean Conservation Charity Association. Protecting the blue star is everyone's responsibility. Lin Mo pushed away the unrelated person in front of him and headed straight to the prize redemption hall. These people are indeed fundraisers from various institutions, but Lin Mo does not want to donate. There is still 1 month left until the end of the world, and even if we donate, we won't have time to help others. Hello, I'm here to redeem the prize. Please present your winning lottery ticket, ID card, household registration book. The staff member who redeemed the prize submitted the necessary application materials. Lin Mo was already prepared and took out the materials. After tossing around for 2 hours, a bank card was handed over to Lin Mo. There is a whopping 24 million in it, an unimaginable amount of wealth for an ordinary person in their lifetime. And Lin Mo decided to spend all of it in a month. The fundraising staff of the nearby charity organization's eyes turned red with jealousy. Why didn't I win the prize? They quickly put aside their jealousy and then put on expressions of compassion. Little brother, do you know how many children in mountainous areas can't eat every day? The disabled are so pitiful. Our institution has to assist many disabled people every day. The fundraisers began selling proficiently, and some began to shed tears. People like Lin Mo who win lottery tickets are easily overwhelmed by money and prone to impulsive consumption. If he were to arouse his sympathy again, wouldn't the performance be in uproar? Go away, don't get in my way. Lin Mo's tone was stiff and he had no intention of donating. The mournful expression on the face of the fundraiser paused. Is this person's heart made of stone? Little brother, listen to my explanation. There are many tricks involved in winning this lottery. The person next to them quickly cooperated with their eyes twitching. Yeah, that lottery corruption agency is not a vegetarian. It's possible that they will reclaim your prize money. You need to donate and use this unexpected wealth to do more charity, so that you don't have any worries. Lin Mo looked at them coldly and even threatened them. Why do you want to reclaim my bonus? The fundraiser chuckled and said in a mysterious tone. If someone reports, the relevant department will definitely freeze the account and carefully check if anyone has cheated. Lin Mo said to the fundraiser with a smirk on his face. Oh, what should I do then? The fundraiser's face showed ecstasy, and I spoke up word by word. Hey, didn't I tell you all about it? Donations are not a big deal. At least 500 watts, that's the minimum. Little brother, you need to understand that this is a hidden rule that everyone must abide by. Lin Mo took out his phone and took a photo of the fundraiser. I will report to your organization, and if you don't give me a satisfactory answer, I will expose the recording and photos online. Guess, will you be on the trending list? The fundraiser was stunned. This is too hard. It's just asking you to donate a little money, and you're going to end up with a net worth breaking. We're stewing soup at home, so let's withdraw it first. My ex-wife gave birth to 3 children, and I have to go accompany her. See you later. The fundraisers dispersed in a panic and quickly disappeared from sight. Chapter 4. Crazy Purchasing. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. 24 million, you can buy a lot of things, supplies, and shelter for the end of the world, all of which will be built. Lin Mo walked out of the lottery center with his head and chest high, full of confidence in safely passing through the end of the world. Not far away is a large shopping mall, which is perfect for purchasing. As soon as he entered the door, Lin Mo said to the salesperson in the mall, "Call your supervisor over." The female salesperson wore a smile on her face and felt very disdainful in her heart. "Sorry, our supervisor is currently working and does not receive customers. The manager of the mall is not responsible for receiving such affairs, but Lin Mo has placed a large order and of course requires someone at the leadership level to be by his side. Otherwise, there won't even be a decision maker. My order is very large, so please call your supervisor over." Lin Mo remained calm and did not get angry due to the salesperson's carelessness. The salesperson's face became a bit serious and said, "This customer, are you sure?" Lin Mo nodded and responded with silence. The female salesperson hesitated for a moment before deciding to report it. She was a bit uncertain about Lin Mo's whereabouts. Judging from his confident demeanor, it shouldn't be easy. Quickly, the mall supervisor came down and looked at Lin Mo with a scrutinizing gaze. Che Xiangming quickly showed a disappointed expression. "The young man in front of me, with a total of no more than 300 yuan in clothing and accessories, makes it hard to believe that he is a wealthy owner. Sir, may I ask if you have anything to do?" Lin Mo didn't waste his time, he came straight to the point. "I want to purchase a large quantity of goods with a wide variety." The mall manager, Che Xiangming, said calmly. "Our mall is not a wholesaler. Sir, if you need any products, you can choose them by pushing your car." Che Xiangming feels that the other party is wasting their time, and there is still a batch of goods in the warehouse that has not been counted. Lin Mo felt the other party's impatience, but he didn't care at all. A 5 million order without any preferential treatment. Che Xiangming felt that there was a problem with his hearing. How much? How much? Is there an internal price for an order with a minimum guarantee of 5 million yuan that can be delivered? Che Xiangming blinked his eyes and unconsciously felt a slight softening in his waist and back. Lin Mo didn't hear a satisfactory answer for a long time and turned around to leave. We will prepare everything for you." Che Xiangming's attitude immediately led to a 180-degree turn. Lin Mo stopped and nodded in satisfaction. "You send someone to follow me to record, and then arrange delivery for me." "No problem, there's nothing happening right now. Let me help you record it." Lin Mo remained non-committal and began to stroll around the mall. "Chocolate, 100 boxes." Manager Che Xiangming took out his tablet and started checking it. "I have a little more faith in Lin Mo in my heart. I have decided to seize this order and I should be able to earn a considerable commission from it. Milk, 1,000 boxes, mixed with different brands of milk." The supervisor nodded repeatedly, his hands moving non-stop. 10 micro cameras, computers, game consoles. Each. The supervisor widened his eyes and looked at Lin Mo incredulously. "Is there anyone else who buys things like this?" The customers who were strolling around the mall quickly noticed this scene and thought that Lin Mo was the leader who came to inspect. They didn't know that Lin Mo, like them, was also a customer of the mall. Because at this moment, Lin Mo's demeanor was too much. Behind him followed a middle-aged man in a mall uniform, with a humble expression. There are also 2 female sales guides nearby to help. Towels, down comforters, mattresses. 100 sets, not 500 sets. After all, the quantity of materials that will be used in the future is still as much as possible. Anyway, there's not a shortage of money now. I'll take all of these nut snacks, each weighing 100 pounds. 100 pots, bowls, ladles, and pots each. Hey, specially made winter clothes that can be worn for Antarctic exploration. Good thing, 200 sets of winter clothes. The mall manager's hands trembled, and his forehead began to sweat. Now these things have exceeded 4 million yuan in price. It was the first time he had seen someone buy things like this since he was so old. "Boss, we don't have that much inventory of winter clothes in stock." Lin Mo shook his head in disappointment and said, "How much is there?" 50 sets. "I'll take it all." Lin Mo wandered around the mall for 2 hours and purchased a large amount of supplies. If you are interested in something, simply quote the quantity and never care about the price. There are many types of procurement, almost covering all aspects of daily needs. "I'll go, where are these second-generation wealthy people from?" "When shopping, we need 3 staff members to serve." A customer noticed that Lin Mo was also here to buy something, but the scene was a bit exaggerated. "Isn't that too extravagant? I actually bought all of Faitian Maotai. TSK, the life of wealthy people, we only have envy." The customers in the mall looked at Lin Mo with a look of admiration. How they wish they could replace Lin Mo's position and become the person who takes bold action. Lin Mo heard the discussions of the people around him, but he didn't pay much attention. He is not really wealthy, and his life is not so luxurious. Just storing supplies for the end of the world. A mediocre post-apocalyptic survivor. Car supervisor, that's all for today. How much do you want to see? Che Xiangming looked at the numbers on the tablet and felt his heart jump out of his throat. You spent a total of 16,452,664.58 yuan. Lin Mo is not surprised by this number because he has bought too many things. Give me a discounted price, I'll make a 10% deposit first and pay the final payment by the end of next month. This is destined to be an unsuccessful transaction. Because there is no final payment. Lin Mo plans to use a deposit to get the goods, and after the end of the world arrives, no one will come to ask for debt. They didn't have that fate, they walked to Tianhe community. Che Xiangming took out his calculator and started calculating with a snap. After the discount, you only need to pay 15 million, with an initial deposit of 1.5 million. Soon, the legal department of the mall came over with the contract. The contract indicates that Party A and Party B, as well as the responsibilities and obligations that both parties need to fulfill. Lin Mo glanced roughly and happily signed his name. Afterwards, a deposit of 1.5 million soft girl coins was transferred to the corporate account of the mall. With so many supplies, it can fill 100 Lin Mo's rooms. So it is obviously not realistic to transport it to Tianhe community. Subsequently, Lin Mo rented a warehouse in the largest logistics park in Jinhai City to store purchased materials. The large truck set off in a mighty manner towards the Xinpu Logistics Park, loaded with supplies. Car supervisor, you're very good. This is a personal reward I gave you. Lin Mo handed several stacks of red banknotes to Che Xiangming, and the 2 salespeople also received a tip of 10,000 yuan each. Chapter 5. Collecting Materials. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Che Xiangming respectfully escorted Lin Mo out of the mall, deeply moved in his heart. The money that Lin Mo casually rewards is worth his 1 month's salary. I'm so old, it's the first time I've ever met such a god. The 2 female saleswomen behind them nodded in agreement. They feel like they have fallen in love. This man is too handsome, isn't he? Every move exudes unparalleled male charm. Che Xiangming couldn't help but shake his head and smirk as he looked at his subordinates who were obsessed with flowers. Can people like that look up to you? Dream it. Lin Mo's big procurement journey has just begun. The basic necessities of life are already sufficient, and now we need to improve the quality of life in the apocalypse. Lin Mo decided to take a stroll around the restaurant. Because after the apocalypse, he will no longer be able to enjoy the unique cuisine of the world. If the spatial ability can perfectly preserve food, why not purchase a batch of finished dishes? As soon as Lin Mo thought about the hot and delicious food during the Ice Age, he felt incredibly wonderful. Hello sir, welcome to the Lihua Hotel. The Lihua Grand Hotel is very famous in Jinhai City, known for its luxurious cuisine, starting at 5,000 yuan per meal. This is also Lin Mo's first time coming in. In the past, he couldn't bear such high expenses. This, and this. The waiter widened his eyes, and the young man in front of him ordered 5 dishes in one go. He must not be able to finish it alone. The waiter was about to kindly remind her, but Lin Mo's words made her mouth open to the limit. I don't want any of the dishes I just mentioned, I want all the rest on the menu. The Lihua Hotel has several menus, and Lin Mo just picked up one of them casually. But even so, there are still over 50 dishes on top. Sir, are you sure? The waiter needs to confirm again that if the dish is served in the end but the customer refuses, it will cause a lot of trouble. Lin Mo's expression remained calm. I'm sure, I'll only take 1 bite of each dish. If I can't finish it, please arrange for me to pack it. The waiter showed an extremely puzzled expression. Lin Mo chuckled and said, I'm here to try the dishes. If your dishes are still satisfactory, there will be a big order later. The waiter nodded clearly and took the menu out to arrange it. In no time, the hotel management knocked on the door outside. Mr. Li, I am Lu Yuming, the manager of Lihua Hotel. Lin Mo took a sip of black tea and said calmly. How long does it take for 100 dishes from each of the 5 menus in your hotel? Am I hallucinating or crazy? This is the idea that Lu Yuming first came up with. He, Mr. Li is joking. Lin Mo shook his head uninteresting, this was not the first time he had experienced such a situation. Answer my question. 5 days. No, 3 days. Lu Yuming couldn't speak fluently, trembling as he extended 3 fingers. The dishes on the menu were quickly brought into the private room, and Lin Mo picked up his chopsticks and began to eat. The dish is exquisitely arranged, the ingredients are exquisite, and the taste is also very good. Lin Mo nodded in satisfaction and extended his chopsticks to another plate of dishes. All the dishes on the table were eaten thoroughly. Remove the vegetables and arrange for packaging. Lin Mo has lived a difficult life and is unwilling to waste it. Put these leftover dishes into the storage space after taking a bite, and you can continue to eat them in the future. Manager Lu, as I just said, 100 servings per dish. Lin Mo pulled out his toothpick, shaved his teeth, and said. After leaving the Lihua Hotel, Lin Mo's savings decreased by 950,000 yuan again. At this point, the final payment that Lin Mo needs to make next month has exceeded his own capacity. If the end of the world hadn't arrived, Lin Mo might have been forced to jump off a building by debt collection. At this moment, the phone suddenly rang. Lin Mo, why didn't you come to work today? The woman's voice on the phone is soft and sticky, very pleasant to listen to. It's you, Xia Ling. Lin Mo had rapid breathing and congested eyes. It was this woman who opened Lin Mo's door in the apocalypse. At this moment, Lin Mo is eager to prove that he is no longer a poor orphan and has already spent 180,000 yuan on her. Exhausted the savings accumulated through hard work in college. Lin Mo, why don't you speak? I'm getting angry. Xia Ling, I'm back again. Lin Mo tried to suppress his violent emotions and make his voice as calm as possible. Xia Ling couldn't understand what Lin Mo was saying at all, so she thought this spare tire-licking dog had a missing string in his brain. Lin Mo, I'm hungry. The suggestion is already very obvious, you will be responsible for going out for a big meal. Ha! Lin Mo's expression was unusually cold, with a simple word full of sarcasm. Busy, don't bother me. Lin Mo hung up the phone directly. He is currently busy collecting supplies and has no time to deal with Xia Ling. Go retaliate against Xia Ling now, and you will be arrested and imprisoned. Moreover, this is too cheap, little slut Xia Ling. Not letting her experience the despair of the apocalypse, it's hard to dispel the hatred in Lin Mo's heart. Mr. Li, some of the goods are already in place and stored in the Xinpu Logistics Park. You can pick them up at any time. Lin Mo said a word in a low, hoarse voice. Enter Shinpu Logistics Park and head straight to the rented warehouse. A large amount of materials have been stacked in the warehouse, sorted and neatly arranged, with labels indicating their names and quantities. Lin Mo couldn't wait to come over to put these supplies into the storage space. Collect. Lin Mo opened his right hand and used spatial abilities towards the goods in front of him. The white light shone on the goods and immediately disappeared. Lin Mo took the opportunity to consciously exercise his abilities. Continuously expanding the scope of white light, hoping to explore the limit of one.Time collection of materials. I'll take it again. The white light in the warehouse kept flickering, quickly emptying the packed warehouse. Lin Mo felt that his abilities had not changed at all. Anyway, it's still a long time, why not continue practicing your abilities in the warehouse? In the next moment, the goods in the storage space appear in the warehouse. I'll take it. Keep taking it. Lin Mo found that he could take out the supplies all at once, but he couldn't retrieve them all at once. With practice, the scope of collecting materials continues to expand. Half an hour later, white light spread to every corner of the warehouse, and everything disappeared before our eyes. It's done. Lin Mo's face was uplifted, and his spatial abilities made significant progress. Is there any other use for spatial abilities? Lin Mo continues to research his abilities and wants to develop more abilities. After pondering for a moment, Lin Mo's eyes lit up and he looked at the table in the distance. Shoo! The table appeared directly in hand, crossing the distance limit. Lin Mo first collected the table into the space and then took it out, with a very short interval between them. Shoo! The table was sent back to its original position by white light. There seem to be many uses for spatial abilities. Lin Mo has far from fully developed his abilities. Perhaps one day, I can shrink to an inch and appear anywhere on the blue star in an instant. Chapter 6. Loans for buying a house. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. On the third day of rebirth, Lin Mo continued to prepare for the end of the world. I made an appointment with the landlord to meet in the community. When I was going downstairs, I happened to meet Xia Ling in the elevator. Xia Ling was taken aback when she saw Lin Mo, and then seemed to think of something. She glanced her head aside and let out a coquettish cold snort. In Xia Ling's eyes, the spare tire had spent a lot of money on her the day before and was obedient to her. But the day after, she hung up on her phone with a stiff tone. Xia Ling, long time no see, I miss you so much. No one knew the immense hatred in Lin Mo's heart, and he greeted Xia Ling with a smile on his face. In Lin Mo's memory, what happened the day before yesterday was already a few months ago. Having experienced the end of the world in the middle, he had completely seen Xia Ling's face. Xia Ling turned her head and showed a disappointed expression. My colleagues have all asked me to stay away from you, but I have never heard of it and still think you are a good person. I didn't expect you to treat me like that yesterday, Lin Mo. I misread you. Lin Mo. Do you still want to PUA me? I hung up on your phone, and when others listened, they thought I had done something to you. Xia Ling didn't receive a response from Lin Mo for a long time. In the corner of her eye, she saw him staring at the elevator floor, as if she really wanted to leave the elevator. Lin Mo, why aren't you talking? Are you feeling like you don't have me anymore? Lin Mo showed a slightly exaggerated smile. Yes, how could it not be? I've spent so much money. Let's have dinner together tonight. I'm considering it. Ma pull a Peter, I'm teasing you. Eating with you. Who would do such a disgusting thing? At this moment, the elevator door finally opened and Lin Mo rushed out with one swift step. Xia Ling, who was left behind, had a puzzled expression on her face. What's wrong with Lin Mo? His attitude towards her seems to have changed. Did he lick another woman? To be honest, Lin Mo still has potential. Graduated from a prestigious university and interned at a giant enterprise, with an annual salary of 30,000 after becoming a full-time employee. Unlike oneself, it is a labor dispatch service provided by a third-party company, with a monthly salary of 7,000 and various welfare benefits paid according to the minimum standards. But I can't resist having a bad first impression. In high school, I wore patched clothes and was very stingy. Sometimes I had to delay paying my textbook fees for a long time. So far, Lin Mo is only a spare tire. Xia Ling hurriedly rushed to the company, holding an ice American style in her hand. As soon as I entered the company, my whole spirit and energy changed, and I confidently nodded and greeted my colleagues around me. On the other hand, Lin Mo is waiting for the landlord's arrival downstairs in the community. The landlord has long hair draped over his shoulders, soft eyebrows and eyes, and is wearing loose and casual clothes. The skin is well maintained, fair and delicate, like white jade. Wearing light makeup on the face, not delicate or charming, it appears simple and elegant. A pair of eyes exuded a soft glow, as if they could drip water at any moment. Although it's not the first time I've met, Lin Mo still can't guess the age of the landlord. Sorry, I'm late. Landlord Zhang Yuye awkwardly stuck out her tongue and apologized for her impoliteness. It's okay, I just arrived. Zhang Yuye found a stone pier, casually patted the dust on it, and sat down. So, Li Xiaoge is looking for me. Is there anything I need to do? Lin Mo remembered his savings and suddenly gained some confidence. Zhang Jie, I have been considering buying a house recently. Do you have any intention of selling this apartment in Tianhe community? Zhang Yuye blinked her eyes, showing a surprised expression. If I remember correctly, this young talent has just graduated from college and can actually buy a house. Even if it's a loan, being able to pay the down payment is impressive. Zhang Yuye pondered for a moment. I originally planned to make a living by collecting rent. Lin Mo is somewhat disappointed. It seems that he needs to find an intermediary. Not only does it take a long time, but it also requires paying high intermediary fees. Any slight mishap in the middle will take a month to pass. Seeing Lin Mo frowning, Zhang Yuye's mind turned slightly and continued. However, I happen to be planning to open a beauty salon recently and there is a slight funding gap. Why don't I sell you a set? Lin Mo breathed a sigh of relief. That's really great, thank you, Sister Zhang. In this way, we can start renovating the house within 3 days to improve the room's cold resistance. Lin Mo doesn't want to shiver in an environment of -70°C. In the previous life, my hands and feet were frozen to death. Looking back now, I tremble all over. The landlady tapped her chin with her index finger and began to calculate. The average price of houses in Tianhe community is 70,000 yuan, and the housing area of this suite is 120 square meters. The landlady decisively gave up mental arithmetic and took out her phone to start calculating. The total is 8.4 million. Lin Mo has no objection to this price and accepts it. At present, the two of them went to the bank and began to handle the relevant procedures. Lin Mo does not plan to buy a house in full, but instead pays a portion of the down payment first and then applies for a mortgage from the bank. The end of the world is less than a month away, and now is the opportunity for Li Mashio to operate. A fund of 20 million can leverage at least 150 million resources. On the bookmark of the contract, Lin Mo memorized his 30-year mortgage, which required him to pay over 8 million yuan in interest. Zhang Jie, I will transfer the down payment of 2.52 million to your account now. Zhang Yuye waved her hand indifferently. Don't worry, if you don't have enough money, it's okay to take a break. Is that okay? Zhang Yuye rolled her eyes and looked at Lin Mo angrily. Kid, you don't want to default, do you? You don't even give money to the undead, you're still a person. Lin Mo was seen with a heart-pounding sensation. He had been single for over 20 years and had never seen such a battle before. Zhang Jie, if you need the down payment, I can give it now. But if it could be postponed for a month, I would be extremely grateful. Zhang Yuye looked at the balance presented by Lin Mo and knew that he had the ability to pay. Please treat me to dinner, I'll seriously consider it. Lin Mo smiled happily with a hint of sincerity. This time, he doesn't intend to go for free, he wants to exchange a message for a down payment. In his previous life, Lin Mo received a text message from the landlord asking for help, but he was still one step late. Zhang Yuye froze to death in her own home, in a pitiful state, with a mess on her body and traces of being raped. Lin Mo believes that perhaps this life can avoid the occurrence of tragedy. Under the leadership of Zhang Yuye, Lin Mo arrived at the street near Tianhe community. This shop is decorated old and only sells dumplings. The owner is an old lady. Mrs. Wang, 2 plates of dumplings, 1 plate of braised chicken feet, and 2 bowls of chicken soup. It seems that Zhang Yuye is a frequent visitor here. Mrs. Wang stood up slowly and entered the kitchen to get busy. Xia Ling worked all day and returned home from the company. Prepare to apply some makeup, change clothes, and then go to the bar for a drink. Also, check if there are any high-quality men who can be put into the fish pond. Walking on the road, I happened to catch a familiar silhouette in the shop, and then almost blinded my eyes. Versace's skirt, LV's bag, Gucci's shoes. This outfit is worth 300,000 yuan. Xia Ling quickly mentioned some brand names, her face becoming increasingly shocked. Did Lin Mo fall in love with a wealthy woman? Damn it, there's such a good thing that you don't call me. Chapter 7. Sirius Security Company. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hi, Lin Mo. Why didn't you go to work again today? Xia Ling walked into the dilapidated small shop and greeted Lin Mo with a proper smile. Lin Mo was eating dumplings when he heard the voice of a little slut and almost spat out the dumplings in his mouth. Xia Ling maintained a dignified posture, with a frown in her heart. Isn't eating too unattractive? Is it so that even a wealthy woman is interested in you? Is there anything I need to do? Lin Mo muttered, his voice a bit blurry. Xia Ling sat down quietly next to her and subtly reached out her hand. Hello, my name is Xia Ling and I am Lin Mo's good friend. The movements are meticulous, and the posture resembles that of a noble woman from a noble background. Hello, Zhang Yuye, Lin Mo's landlord, former. Halfway through Zhang Yuye's words, she realized that Lin Mo was no longer her tenant. Xia Ling covered her small mouth in surprise and said in surprise. You are Lin Mo's predecessor. When were you together? Puff. Lin Mo sprayed a mouthful of chicken soup onto Xia Ling's body, looking careless. It was actually intentional. Ah. Xia Ling's pupils trembled, and then she screamed, her voice controlled within a certain range. Lin Mo, you scumbag. Zhang Yuye quickly pulled out a tissue to wipe Xia Ling's face. The tissues in the store are very rough, and the delicate makeup on the face is mixed with chicken soup, which is wiped off layer by layer. Xia Ling suddenly thought of something and showed a more fearful expression. No, thank you. Xia Ling stood up with her face covered, hastily bidding farewell, afraid that others would see her after removing her makeup. Lin Mo took a sip of chicken soup and shouted to the old lady at the dumpling shop. Boss, another plate of beef dumplings and a bowl of chicken soup. 5 minutes later, Mrs. Wang came over trembling with her plate. Chicken soup is here. Lin Mo has a big appetite and can eat 2 or 3 dumplings in one bite. Eat slowly, there won't be anyone grabbing you. No one is grabbing now, there will be more in the future. Lin Mo decided to disclose some information to the landlord appropriately. Boss, I want to order 1,000 kilograms of dumplings. When can you make them ready? Mrs. Wang, who was sitting at the next table drinking porridge, said angrily. I can't do it. Zhang Yuye looked at Lin Mo angrily and said, "Mrs. Wang is already 90 years old this year. How could she do so much work?" Lin Mo looked at the old woman with loose hair in shock, never realizing that she was an elderly woman. "At this age, I still have to open a store to make money." Lin Mo couldn't imagine what kind of story had happened to this old man. "Mrs. Wang, why don't you stop opening a shop during this time? I'll take all the dumplings made, no matter how much they are." "What is the reason?" Mrs. Wang speaks concisely, but her voice is still relatively clear. "I'm afraid I won't be able to eat it in the future. I want to save up some food." Zhang Yuye looked at Lin Mo somewhat absurdly, feeling that the other person was talking with a lively and talkative tone. Lin Mo ignored Zhang Yuye's strange gaze and continued to speak on his own. "During this period, I have hoarded a large amount of food and bought a large amount of cold protection supplies. Next, I plan to renovate the house, which needs to have strong cold resistance and be very sturdy, making it difficult for outsiders to break through the door." Mrs. Wang put down her porridge bowl and watched as Lin Mo talked incessantly about her plan. After Lin Mo finished speaking, he checked out and left without much explanation. Zhang Yuye frowned and her mood inexplicably decreased. "My tenant seems abnormal. Yuye, you also prepare materials to renovate the house." Zhang Yuye looked at Mrs. Wang in confusion, very puzzled. "Believe it, it's okay, what if? The countdown to the end of the world is 28 days. The fourth day of rebirth. The morning sunshine shone through the window, and my skin was scorching from the sun." Lin Mo indulged in this burning sensation with some greed, and after a while, he could no longer enjoy it. "There is still a lot of money left, and I have obtained the property certificate. Today, I will start renovating the house. First of all, also drive out the tenants first. This house is shared with 3 other tenants." Lin Mo opened the bedroom door and saw other roommates packing up, their faces beaming with joy. "What are you guys doing?" one of the tenants said. "The sky has dropped a pie. The landlord has changed our house, which is closer to the company, with better conditions, and the rent remains unchanged." "Me too. Me too." Lin Mo was a bit stunned, not expecting that the landlord had already dealt with the matter. The tenants happily moved out of the community, leaving 901 empty. Lin Mo kept this matter in mind and began today's action. Follow the map navigation and come to a building with an unusually low key appearance. "Hello, may I help you? I want to renovate my house and also need to purchase a batch of protective materials." The front desk customer service was attentive and did not inquire too much about Lin Mo's background, so they directly led him into the reception room. Sirius Security Company. A global security company specializing in serving politicians and wealthy individuals. This company is exceptionally low-key and difficult for ordinary people to understand. Lin Mo was also interning at Bianan Technology Group when he unexpectedly heard about the company's situation. Because the founder of the group, Ma Cheng, spent 5 billion to build the post-apocalyptic fortress over a decade ago. The one who undertook the construction of this fortress is Sirius Security Company. This order was not officially completed until a few years ago. Soon, the business manager in charge of reception knocked on the door. "Enter." Lin Mo saw a strong man who was 1.9 meters tall and walked in wearing a suit. He is like a thug in a suit. "Mr. Li, I am Jin Biao, the consulting business manager of Sirius Security's safe house." Lin Mo nodded in greeting, without further ado, and directly expressed his own demands. "I want the best cold resistance and the strongest defense." After a moment of contemplation, Jin Biao said. "The best cold resistance can be achieved. However, the strongest defense is almost non-existent. It can only be said that in relative situations, we strive to do our best." Jin Biao took out a tablet and began demonstrating it to Lin Mo. This metal comes from the moon and is mixed with a certain proportion of titanium metal to create a lunar alloy that can achieve perfect heat insulation. Lin Mo saw from the demonstration video that liquid nitrogen was poured into a container made of lunar alloy and then burned with flames. Half an hour later, the internal temperature was -196 degrees Celsius and the external temperature was 700 degrees Celsius. Lin Mo widened his eyes and looked at the alloy metal in the video. It's perfect. Has materials science in the current world developed to this extent? Lunar alloy is not even recognized by ordinary people because there is no circulation on the market. What are the drawbacks of this alloy? The suit thug Jin Biao grinned and half-jokingly said. The downside is. It's a bit expensive. Chapter 8. Renovation of houses. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Lin Mo was taken aback by the price of lunar alloy, and his bulging waist doesn't look like a lot either. Do you still have to buy lottery tickets? This is too risky, it will definitely be exposed to the public eye. How is it in terms of defense? The business manager succinctly said, not against nuclear bomb attacks. Lin Mo looked at Jin Biao in shock and directly said something that his own products couldn't do. Did you promote products like this? Jin Biao took a sip of tea and smiled confidently. It's easy to talk about other external attacks. Push the tablet in front of Lin Mo and start playing the defense test. A 20 cm thick alloy plate is placed in front, taking turns shooting with pistols and rifles. After a round of bullets was fired, there were no bullet marks left. Then we started changing hand grenades, shells, sniper rifles until the end. The alloy plate underwent severe deformation, but it still remained unbroken. Sure, just use this alloy. Lin Mo made a firm decision and immediately decided to use this material to renovate the house. I wonder how big a safe house Mr. Li needs to build. Oh, it's only 120 square meters. Jin Biao almost spat out a sip of tea. Rich people build safe houses in their own basements, which are usually only about 20 square meters. This thing is not meant to stay for a long time, it's useless even if you hit it. Lin Mo showed a schematic diagram of the house to Jin Biao for viewing. Jin Biao immediately smiled bitterly and said, Sorry, Mr. Li, we can't build it. We don't have that much lunar metal, with an area of 120 square meters, which is too big. Lin Mo had to compromise and prioritize the use of the best materials in the bedroom. The remaining part will be constructed using cold-resistant materials combined with steel plates. As long as the thickness of the steel plate is sufficient, it can also defend against the vast majority of attacks in the world. In addition, the lunar alloy's ability to isolate temperature differences of 700 degrees is already too much for Lin Mo. Being able to isolate a temperature difference of 100 degrees Celsius is already a perfect solution to Lin Mo's needs. Moreover, as long as there is enough energy, air conditioning can also be turned on indoors. Lin Mo suddenly realized that as long as he had money and prepared in advance, the frozen end of the world didn't seem so despairing. Do you have any armor or similar equipment here? Of course, we are the most professional security company with multiple patented technologies in the field of armor. Jin Biao was in a very good mood at this moment and clicked on another page on his tablet. There are various protective suits on it, which are cold-proof, heat-proof, bulletproof. Lin Mo was dazzled by all the good things. Everything can play a significant role in critical moments. Can you see the actual drill for bulletproof vests? Lin Mo thought of another question. Currently, only ordinary cold weapons have been collected, and powerful hot weapons have not yet landed. Jin Biao fully agreed and led Lin Mo to the basement to watch the bulletproof vest test. I saw that the dummy in front was completely wrapped in a bulletproof vest. Jin Biao took out his pistol, skillfully loaded it, and then fired. The dummy remained motionless and did not suffer any harm. Next is the automatic rifle, which is much more powerful than a handgun. Mr. Li, a pressure detector is installed on the dummy's body. You can take a look at the damage caused by bullets to the inside of the body without damaging the bulletproof vest. Lin Mo found that the power of the pistol was almost completely offset by the bulletproof vest, and the impact of the bullet was rarely transmitted to the dummy. When using a rifle, the pressure value doubles many times, but it is not enough to cause harm to the human body. At most, I feel pain. Lin Mo immediately agreed, 50 sets of cold clothing, 10 sets of heat, bulletproof, and gas-resistant protective clothing each. I kept clicking on the tablet with my fingers and bought all the products on it. Some things are very obscure and almost unusable. Lin Mo didn't hesitate to buy a few sets, and if they were needed, they would be life-saving items. The business manager's eyelids twitched as he watched from the side. It was the first time he had seen someone buying things like this. Even billionaires with a net worth of billions are not as generous in their spending. Lin Mo handed the tablet to Jin Biao and asked, "When can the house be arranged for renovation?" Jin Biao suppressed his excitement and answered with a question. "We will first conduct on-site inspections and prepare materials. We can start construction in about 2 days. In addition, we adopt a modular design, and many components have finished products that can be assembled directly, so the time will be greatly reduced." Lin Mo was very satisfied and another plan was put on the agenda. The preparation for the Ice Age is becoming more and more comprehensive. Okay, the faster the construction, the better. I'm in a hurry to put it into use. Don't worry, it won't take you a month. Calculate how much money is needed in total. Mr. Li, your total consumption is 182,564,212 yuan. Lin Mo. Damn it. Not enough money. I can't even afford to pay the deposit. Well, the price is quite reasonable. Hehe, of course, our main focus is on cost-effectiveness. Cost-performance ratio, your sister. Are you telling me that your products are of good quality and affordable even though they are almost becoming monopolistic enterprises? Lin Mo's current funds are not enough, and his heart is starting to worry. We need to find a way to make money as soon as possible. At the very least, we need to pay the deposit and there will be other expenses to follow. Lin Mo still wants to enjoy life before the end of the world. After all, in the first 20 years, I have been enduring hardship, and in the extreme cold, the current prosperity will not be possible again. Lin Mo already has several ways to make money in his mind, and he will start implementing them when he returns. Within 3 days, I will make a partial deposit in advance, and the final payment will be made at the end of the month after completion. Jin Biao nodded with a smile, this is a normal operation. With so much money, the bank can have a lifespan of several 100,000, let alone other more profitable investments. Also, I've bought so many things, don't you have any gifts? Lin Mo began to plan for weapons. Sirius Security is the most professional, and they can legally equip guns when carrying out missions. Business manager Jin Biao said, I don't know what gift Mr. Li wants. As long as it's not too outrageous, we can agree to it. This order has earned Jin Biao a lot of money, and some unreasonable demands cannot be denied. Lin Mo extended 3 fingers of his right hand, I'll take this, plus 500 peanuts, isn't that excessive? Jin Biao widened his eyes, his expression somewhat unnatural. This is too much, is this thing illegal in China? Mr. Li, this request is really too difficult, why not change it? Lin Mo had anticipated earlier, but he could still save the country on a curve. What if the location is overseas? Jin Biao pondered for a moment and immediately changed his face. He straightened his waist and showed a confident expression. Do you want a tank or an armed helicopter? It was agreed beforehand, but the aircraft carrier is not suitable. We're out of stock recently. Chapter 9. Continuing to make money. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Good guy. Good guy. Good guy. Is this a security company or the king of war? Lin Mo wanted everything with a heart, but he didn't have any money in his pocket. Don't exaggerate, just a few handguns are enough, with a little more bullets. I like to shoot targets in my spare time. Jean Biao smiled heartily and said, no problem at all. Mr. Li can tell me before going abroad that I will arrange everything properly. Lin Mo informed Jean Biao of the warehouse number of the rented Xinpu Logistics Park, and the purchased materials can be delivered there. After leaving Sirius Security Company, go straight to the logistics park. The warehouse that was previously cleared is now filled with supplies and needs to be stored in the storage space. Unlock the warehouse door and turn off all cameras. Lin Mo raised his hand and aimed at the piles of supplies in front of him, saying a word softly. Collect. Where white light covers, objects disappear into the space of blue stars. Lin Mo took out the shopping list and checked if there were any items that were missed. By the way, as well as domestic water, how could you forget such an important thing? If sufficient water is not stored in the space, domestic water can only be obtained by melting ice and snow. When leaving the logistics park, the sky had already darkened. Returning to Tianhe community, there is a group of aunties dancing on the square. When Lin Mo passed by, she caught the attention of the aunties. Hey, is this what Zhang Cuifang said? The resident with an abnormal brain scared his roommates away. It seems like, I heard it was gambling, what a sin. Lin Mo is absolutely certain that these square dancing aunties are talking about themselves. Because a few aunties ran straight to the front and carefully glanced at Lin Mo. Aunties, are you okay? If you're okay, go home and take a nap. Lin Mo lifted his foot and kicked over the sound system playing music next to him. The square dancing lady couldn't help but take a few steps back and dared not speak in anger. Although they have just moved away from the obstructed car and drove away the students who wanted to play basketball, they can be considered the top of the community. But Zhang Cuifang, who works in the property management of the community, has said that this resident has a mental problem and they really dare not provoke him. Lin Mo stood tall and walked away, completely indifferent to the strange gazes of the square dancing ladies. As I passed by the lottery shop, I saw Zhang Cuifang's eyes turning red, staring intently at the scratch paper in her hand, like a gambler. Oh, Aunt Zhang is still doing charity. How many months' salary have she included? Zhang Cuifang ignored everything and continued to compare the patterns above, hoping to win the big prize. Lin Mo smiled and said to the lottery shop owner next to him. Nowadays, the elderly are not down to earth at all, they only know how to dream of becoming rich overnight. Lottery shop owner Lu Dahu chuckled and did not answer. He is the only young person in front of him who knows who won the first prize in the lottery. How about 2 more bets? Lu Dahu decided that he would also buy the same number this time, in case he also won the lottery. No, I lost all my money. Didn't you look at me and my eyes turned red? Lin Mo is pointing fingers and cursing locusts. Zhang Cuifang felt that these words sounded harsh, but couldn't explain the reason behind them. Lin Mo, I'm glad you think so. You can't control what's going on in the lottery. Ha ha ha. Lu Dahu seemed to have heard a big joke and looked at Zhang Cuifang with a ridiculous expression. Zhang Cuifang's dream of becoming rich was greatly stimulated by her community winning the first prize in the lottery. I have been crazily buying lottery tickets these days and have already spent tens of thousands of yuan. Lin Mo gently waved his hand to Lu Dahu, indicating that he wouldn't say anything. Lu Dahu nodded clearly and swallowed the words in his mouth. I heard that Boss Lu has other industries. Lin Mo took the idea of making money onto Lu Dahu. Lu Dahu's eyes froze and he looked at Lin Mo with suspicion. Who did you listen to? In his previous life, half a month after the apocalypse, Lu Dahu suddenly gathered a large group of younger brothers around him. Neighbors only then realized that Lu Dahu had a club background and was actually doing high-interest loans. Opening a lottery shop is just a cover-up. How about finding a place to talk about a business? It's easy to say, go to my other company. Money Flower Financial Services Company. As soon as I entered the store, I saw several men with big arms and round waists, tattooed with large flower arms, gathered together to play cards. Boss. Hello boss. Lu Dahu looked straight at him, very imposing, and he was completely like two people sitting in a lottery store. Ha ha ha, Li Xiaoga, be a little more casual, just like at home. Lu Dahu sat down on the sofa in the office, and a younger brother immediately handed him a cigar. I don't know what business Mr. Li wants to talk about, is he going to invest? Lu Dahu never thought that the other party had just won a prize of 30 million yuan just to borrow money, which was the richest time. It is possible to take out the money for lending. Lin Mo took a sip of tea and spat out the tea leaves inside. Borrow money. Lu Dahu was stunned and continued to burst out laughing, thinking that the other person was joking. Lin Mo's heart became restless as he listened, and his laughter seemed hypocritical no matter how he listened. I want to borrow 15 million and repay it next month. Lu Dahu looked up and down, wanting to confirm the truth of this statement. I remember correctly, little brother. You should have won the prize, right? I just spent 8 million to buy a house, and there are still over 10 million left. I don't understand, are you still short of money now? I have my reasons, you don't need to understand. I have a monthly interest of 2 cents and will pay it back next month. Lu Dahu's face was shining brightly, and his waist and back suddenly straightened. 15 million yuan, with a monthly interest of 20 cents, the monthly interest is 3 million. Lu Dahu was tempted. Making so much money in a month is faster than robbing a bank. Moreover, the other party is very wealthy now and is not afraid that they will not be able to afford it. I'll make a phone call, young man. Wait a moment. Lu Dahu is preparing to raise money from other colleagues, but he doesn't have 1,500 cash at all. Lin Mo remained calm and started playing with his phone on the sofa. Half an hour later, Lu Dahu walked in with a serious expression, holding a loan contract in his hand. Little brother, take a look. If there are no issues, just sign it. Lin Mo rubbed his thumb and index finger together, up and down. Sign first, then pay after signing. Lin Mo shook his head and looked at Lu Dahu's eyes without giving in. For a long time, Lu Dahu laughed and clapped his hands together. Okay, I only have 12 million, raising so much in such a short time. He originally intended to deduct this month's interest directly, borrowed 15 million yuan, and received 12 million yuan. 1 month later, Lin Mo needs to repay 15 million yuan. Lu Dahu changed a number on the promissory note to correct the amount. Lin Mo signed on it and then pressed his fingerprint. Lu Dahu licked his lips as if he saw 3 million waving at him. After Lin Mo received the money, he transferred the deposit required by Sirius security company when he went out. Business manager Jean Biao immediately replied, stating that construction can start tomorrow. While ensuring quality, the faster the better. Just wait for the house renovation to be completed, everything will be fine. Lin Mo stood under the starlight, spreading his arms and feeling the heat of summer nights. Apocalypse, come on. I'm not afraid of you anymore. Chapter 10. Lottery Winners. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Everyone has their own happiness and misfortune. Unfortunately, Zhang Cuifang spent all her savings but did not win the jackpot. She walked out of the lottery store dumbfounded, with messy hair and murmuring to herself. I'm so foolish. The probability of winning the lottery is so low, I should have thought I wouldn't have won. Even though I learned from Lin Mo's previous experience, I still haven't learned my lesson. I regret it. Zhang Cuifang sat on a bench in the community, crying uncontrollably. Lin Mo did not see this scene. If I see it, I will definitely burst out laughing happily. Usually sharp and harsh, he commands the residents in the community, and after the apocalypse, he takes the lead in snatching the remaining food from his neighbors. In the end, he follows the crowd and breaks into Lin Mo's home. After Lin Mo was reborn, Zhang Cuifang was already a dying person. Zhang Cuifang stood up and walked home hungry. In the next month, before her salary comes down, her life will be extremely tight. And Lin Mo, with money in his hand, regained his confidence. Start the big procurement model again. I should have thought of using shopping apps before, there's nothing online. The things on online shopping platforms are even more diverse than those in offline stores. Ding. The continuous pop-ups in chat groups. 30 million prize winners, come out and create a bubble. What's so remarkable about it? It's just a few dollars, as for those who hide their heads and show their tails. No one's taking you away. People are very curious about who won the first prize in the lottery. Lin Mo smiled slightly and continued to purchase materials, hiding his achievements and reputation. Not long after, someone suddenly started to hate Lin Mo. Lin Mo, what's wrong with you? Did you have a conflict with your roommate? This is Zhang Cuifang's voice, and you can tell that her mood is not good. The gossip among the homeowners ignited and they began to ask what was going on. Today, 3 residents in our community moved out, all of whom shared the apartment with Lin Mo. Isn't this ruining our community's reputation? Zhang Cuifang is currently full of anger and simply wants to find a scolding. 901's Lin Mo, you come and explain. After listening to the voice, Lin Mo frowned and said, there's nothing to explain. They found a better place to live. Upon seeing this news, Zhang Cuifang's anger surged in her heart. Why don't you reflect on your own mistakes? Lin Mo is inexplicable, maybe the old lady has a brain pit. Zhang Cuifang is special to Zhang Yuye in the group. Ms. Zhang, I strongly advise you not to rent the house to Lin Mo. He is a gambler and has serious psychological problems. Lin Mo sneered at the group message and posted a vertical middle finger emoji. The other owners in the group stopped sending messages and held their phones while watching the show. Let's argue, curse, fight. I'm sorry, I'm not the owner of 901 anymore. The house has already been sold to Lin Mo. Zhang Yuye posted a sentence in the group and continued diving. The group fell into silence. Residents, it seems that they know who the winner of the lottery first prize is. Zhang Cuifang felt a burning sensation on her face as if she had been hit hard. That afternoon, Lin Mo bought 5 lottery tickets. I am so close to the lottery jackpot. Zhang Cuifang's jealous eyes turned red, and she regretted it to the extreme. If only she had bought the same number with Lin Mo that day. Lin Mo, did you win 30 million? Someone in the group asked Lin Mo for confirmation. It's an old almanac, if you don't mention it, I'll almost forget. It's too Versailles. Some people went crazy with jealousy, while others cursed Lin Mo in their hearts, but they didn't show it. Lin Mo, I am a resident of Building 3. I have been facing financial difficulties in my business recently. Can you lend me some money? My mother has cancer and needs 1 million yuan for treatment. Here is my ID card. Can you help me? Brotherly, I am Lu Shu from Building 4. She has been secretly in love with you for a long time. Let's be together. Mr. Li, I have a great investment project. As long as I invest 10 million yuan in the early stage, I will definitely make a return on investment within 6 months. Lin Mo's private message exploded instantly, with hundreds or even thousands of messages flooding in, causing his phone to lag. Even so, there are still people constantly sending private messages. All on the phone are small red dots with numbers. The phone's performance is not good, it's getting hot so quickly. Lin Mo felt his phone, which he had been using for 4 years, and his back gradually became hot. As for the private messages from the residents, Lin Mo didn't even bother to read them. It's nothing more than selling and borrowing money. I'm not related to you, why should I lend you money? Xiao Ling also lives in Tianhe community and was dealing with licking the dog's spare tire the previous minute. Xiao Ling, I'll treat you to milk tea. Oh, by the way, how much does milk tea cost per cup? Big cup 15, medium cup 12, would you like a medium cup or a large cup? Let's forget it then. My lipstick is quite expensive. Xia Ling pursed her lips and refused the suggestion of licking the dog to order her milk tea. Who knows, my family. How could there be such a man? He's really looking down. Suddenly, Xia Ling's gaze fixed and she saw a pop-up window of group messages appearing above her phone screen. Lin Mo, we won 30 million. Xia Ling's first reaction was anger, feeling as if she had been betrayed. One person won the prize, but secretly went to collect it without telling the other person, and then tried to get rid of her by taking the money and going to be carefree. No wonder I was so indifferent in the elevator before. It turns out that betrayal had already been foretold. My Xia Ling is too naive. Lin Mo, what do you mean? Why didn't you tell me if you won the prize? Xia Ling answered the phone and angrily questioned. Lin Mo. Labor and management won the prize, it's none of your business. What are you doing? What is our relationship, or are you eligible to participate in the distribution? Why am I not qualified? Xia Lingqi's face turned red with anger, and her hand holding the phone trembled slightly. I went out to eat and shop with him before, accompanied him to buy clothes and cosmetics, but turned around and asked myself what qualifications I had. On the other end of the phone, Lin Mo's mouth widened in shock. Which one of my eyes was blind before, and I actually fell for such a thing? Lin Mo took a deep breath and mercilessly retorted. Xia Ling, are you still awake? The labor cost for you was 180,000 yuan before, and you are still hanging on the labor and capital as a spare tire. Now you still want to share the money, where's your face? Did you get washed away by the owner's father? Don't say you're not my girlfriend, even if you are, you don't have that qualification. My money has nothing to do with you. Xia Ling, you're just a big, silly, pussy. Lin Mo finished scolding in one breath and hung up the phone, feeling much relieved. Little slut, I just owe you a grudge. Xia Ling listened to the busy sound on her phone and her face turned blue and white. Damn it, orphanly, you're just a bunch of dog shit. Xia Ling slammed the latest pineapple phone onto the sofa. This phone is the best phone from Blue Star, and it is also the Pro Max Ultra 2T version with a market price of 24,999 yuan. It was Lin Mo who bought it with the money he had saved up through hard work. For a long time, Xia Ling picked up her phone and began seeking help online. Lawyer, my boyfriend is my high school classmate. We have been together for a long time. He has won the lottery but refuses to share the money with me. Is this illegal? I can use legal means to protect my rights. Then open Bihoo and seek advice from a wide range of friends. My boyfriend is a scumbag who won 30 million yuan in the lottery, but he kept it from me and didn't want to take me on the score. What should I do?